Wingardium Leviosa. Who's there? Connecting rod. That's good. Today we're going to talk about and show you guys everything wrong with my low mileage 337. Before we do that, I'll talk about the channel's biggest and only sponsor, you guys. Another shout out to everybody watching, all you guys supporting. We've hit a very nice stride over the last year now with getting videos out very consistently. We had a little 2-month break before the Roots video, but just to let you guys know, we're back on track. And we're not going to take on any big projects that will set us back that far. Not to say I didn't want to do Roots, but that was just a very stressful and intense project, and we're just now done with it. So awesome video. I'm very, very happy with it. Awesome time, but we need to focus on staying consistent. I've said this before, and it's always the case. It's always going to be the case. I'm not into this for a big payday. Though it seems that we're getting closer to the point where this will be a day job. It's not a matter of if at this point, it's a matter of how soon. Don't get me wrong, I'd love to get rich off of doing art all day, because that's what this is. You know, this video, maybe not so much, but look back at Nick's video that we just posted. All these other feature videos, it's art in the visual sense. Getting these nice clean shots for you guys, pairing it up to music is so much fun. That's my best expression of art, and it's a lot of fun and rewarding in that sense. But more importantly, just getting these people's stories documented and out there, and getting more people to hear and see about it, because there's just so many incredible people I'm fortunate enough to be friends with and learn from and get help from and hang out with and hear their story, that it's a shame that I can't get to everybody sooner, because there's just literally hundreds of you that I'm friends with, personal friends with, that I want your stories on here, because they're just so cool. It's so dope to see everybody doing what they love and do it well. After being into this channel for, it seems like 4 or 5 years now, I've lost track, but I think we're either at year 4 or close to year 4. And it was just this past year that I finally got into a very consistent groove, how I've always wanted to be, but it's just so hard finding the time between my day job and making time for this, that it's very tough to stay consistent with this. You know, this doesn't pay the bills. So I unfortunately have to work a lot to pay for all this addiction, because that's what it is. This is my form of therapy, being out of control with my car purchases. This 337 is car purchase number 4 or 5 of this year. So that's my therapy. It's what keeps me sane. This stuff isn't cheap, so unfortunately we still have to work a day job. Even a month or 2 of letting up on putting content out leaves you falling behind very quickly. And just to be clear, we're only making $40 a month right now. So got a long ways to go before we can actually do this full time, but we're in a very good groove, and I want to just thank all of you who continue to support the channel and have supported the channel to help us get this far. So not to get all emotional on you guys, but this has been a long time in the making, and it seems to finally be coming together. I guess to start, we'll talk about the stuff that's kind of incorrect about the car. It's nothing major, but I guess we'll start on that and then work into the stuff that's wrong with it, what we need to address, and then we'll talk about what the plans are with it moving forward. So first and foremost, and really the only thing, Ernie, don't mind how filthy everything is. One of the things wrong is this axle, which is why there's axle grease all over this wheel. But we have a new axle, so we'll do that today or tomorrow. Sometime this weekend we'll get this axle slapped in, but we'll show you that in a minute. One of the biggest things, and really the only thing missing from this car, are the original wheels. And now the difference between the GLI wheels and the 337 wheels, that just felt awesome, stabbing me in the ass. What even are you? Splinter. The difference between the GLI and 337 wheels is basically just the finish. It's really just the texture, and if you look close, this is a nice smooth finish. Anybody who knows anything about these wheels know that They corrode and turn to shit on their own. Even if you look at them the wrong way. So good luck finding a clean original finish set of any of these wheels. So sorry, everything's a bit of a mess, including the exterior. It's really dirty right now. Do some more close-up eye candy shots with a nice camera when we get around to polishing this, because we're just not in a rush to, because as you can see, there's all this damage on it, which we'll get into in a bit. We're gonna address it over time. But anyways, back to the interior. When we got the car, as you guys might have seen in the video before, had a carbon fiber Hot Boy Racer steering wheel on it, and had the stock wheel in the trunk, fortunately, so we put that on. Aside from that, the interior does seem to be all original. Everything is how it's supposed to be, and it's in relatively good shape, primarily the seats. The door cards are whooped, so figure out a solution for that. They all seem to fail. Same thing, if you look at them the wrong way, the interior starts to fall apart on these. You can see the headliners starting to sag in certain spots. We'll eventually swap this out for a black headliner. I was always a fan of that on my first one. That's what I always wanted to do, but sure enough, I was too poor to actually do much to that car other than barely keep it running. We'll go ahead and dye the existing pieces black and then recover the actual headliner itself with a similar black material. So interior is all there. Everything works as it should on the inside. We have one light for the airbags since swapping the wheel over. Anybody familiar with the Mark IV platform knows like how nasty all this soft touch rubber gets. And this car is actually in pretty good shape in that sense, especially for the miles. Look at that, 5 more miles to go. Nice. So on this door, you could see kind of what that starts to look like over time. I don't know what the solution is, but we're not really going to care about it because we're going to put a lot of miles on this car and it's not really going to affect the drivability. All the brushed aluminum stuff is in really nice shape. This stuff over time gets all scratched up and doesn't take well to micro scratches because it's brushed aluminum. It's all there. All the proper trim stuff is where it's supposed to be. The shift knob's in really nice shape. Yeah, also we're just kind of go over the exact condition of the car, give you guys a better look at it, because this is a very nice example. Very, very nice driver's example, and show you guys underneath a little bit later. It's good. I know some of you are going to give me some flack for driving this thing in the winter, but we are going to fluid film it and take the best care that we can of it. Give it the best chance that it has to survive daily use. A little bit too rough to sit there and say like, oh, you're wasting a perfectly good example. So the stuff we have planned for the interior, we gotta get a Euro switch and the radio. I'm kind of on the fence if I'm gonna get a fat noise system. Some of you guys might know what's up with that. It's the hotness. In fact, we found one in the junkyard and we swiped that out of it. If we end up getting a fat noise in this, I'm really curious to see what kind of music's on there, if it still works. But in short, this is basically just like a music dock system. You get like a 20 gig hard drive here and you plug it into your computer, upload your music, plugs into a dock in the trunk, and you can control it through the factory Monsoon. So that's an option of what we could do in terms of getting the music we want. These cars were from a time before Bluetooth, so sadly the only option in the meantime is good old cassette adapter to plug into your phone. Now the other option is there's a big fancy baller. It's like $500 OEM option from relatively soon after this car or around the same time. I don't know what car it came out of, but has Bluetooth, aux plugins, all that good stuff, USB port. I think that's an option, but that's wildly expensive. So I think we're gonna stick with this head unit, maybe do the fat noise. So back to the exterior. It looks like we could get most of this out with a proper PDR guy. Same guy who fixed up the Silver Rabbit. We're gonna go see him, Dent Patrol out of New Hampshire one day. First, I wanna try to find a driver's store because this thing's whooped and it's not original paint, as we discovered the other day. We saw some nice orange peel primarily here and it just showed inconsistencies. Color's pretty spot on, so whoever painted this, if you're watching, give you some credit for that. We've got some rust starting in random spots, but no actual rot, so we'll go ahead and brush that away and seal it up and get the proper trim piece that is missing from both sides. Bumpers are kind of whooped from, I'm guessing, city driving early in its age. Some more stuff on this quarterback here, but not as bad as the other side. The other side's really the bad spot. This door looks okay. we'll try to buff some of this stuff out and pop out any other dents. The car's filthy, but the paint's very dull too, so now that I'm looking at this fender, I'm realizing this fender's been painted too. You can see all that orange peel. So we'll find reflex silver fender, driver's door. If we come across bumpers too that are in nice shape and original paint, we'll go with that. Luckily, reflex silver is pretty common, so we'll end up finding whatever replacement parts over time. Front lip, as you can see, has been repainted. I don't know what we'll do with that. 337 lips with original paint definitely aren't going to be easy to find. That'll probably be the one piece that we take off the car and send out to paint. Now to the engine bay. When we got the car, it had a cone filter, cold air intake set up. Yeah, cool. Throttle response is nice and snappy, but at the same time, you get boost surge on these motors, and it's, you know, even in stock form, these cars kind of surge and boost creep on you at partial throttle, so it doesn't need any help with the cold air intake. On top of that, you know, the diverter valve is so loud. You know, you're driving around hot boy, even the slightest throttle input has people like breaking their necks looking for a big turbo car. And here comes this stock turbo, stock tune car. We don't need no hot boy stuff. We found the battery box at the junkyard, so we also grabbed that. So under the hood is pretty much back to stock. Find an emblem for the engine cover or find a new engine cover altogether. I would kind of rather the 20 valve emblem anyways. So we dropped the car off for the timing belt. So the timing belt's all done, ready to go. Serpentine belt and tensioner, water pump. In terms of the engine and transmission, this thing's kind of ready to go and doesn't really need much. I do need to look into the timing cam chain tensioner ordeal, because from what I've seen over the years is those have some kind of failure point. So we're gonna have to look into that, make sure that gets addressed, or if there's any kind of preventative thing we could do, we'll adjust that before it's too late. Not that I care much about the red paint on the rear calipers, but it's obviously not the best looking. More importantly, this caliper is seized, it's dragging. You can see all the brake dust. It's not dragging bad and smoking or overheating, but it's not good. Fortunately for us, there was a GLI at the junkyard when we went. So not only did we manage to grab the rear calipers that we're going to put on today, but we also grabbed a new axle for the driver's side. As I mentioned before, it's shot and just slinging grease everywhere. We'll definitely get that started this weekend, probably get it done this weekend. But the only reason why I say probably get it done this weekend, for anybody who's like, what, you can't handle an axle job in a weekend? No, I just don't remember the whole process, and if we're going to run into any issues while we do that, you know, if I see the ball joints fucked up, we might just lay the car up and let it sit while we wait for more parts. But the reason why I say probably is because Sunday we're going to the dyno with the van here, and we're going to go get some base numbers, see what the stock motor's putting out before we do the LS swap. For those of you new to the channel, check out some of the last vlog type videos. We already started working on the actual motor that's going to go in the van. Got the cam swapped in there. But I think we're going to do a little giveaway contest. Leave your guess in the comments below of what you think brown sugar is going to make stock to the wheels. So I'm not entirely sure what we're going to give away, but it's going to be something that anybody can enjoy, because at this point we're not only getting just Mark 1 people, let alone Volkswagen people watching the channel. By the time we film the dyno video tomorrow, when we get the numbers up on the screen, that's when I'll figure out and announce exactly what we're giving away. I could just give away like a Summit or Rock Auto gift card, but that's kind of lame and low effort. But in the past, I've typically given away something with a value of like $100-200. I just try to make it something fun that also doesn't make me poor. Like, I'd love to give away the shit whip or a rabbit, but you know, at one point I was tempted to give away the GTI that we gave Matt a couple months ago. But, you know, can't go poor trying to give you guys free stuff. This video here is the official entry point for the giveaway, and the cutoff will be when the video goes up. So until the winner's announced, probably anywhere from 3 to 7 days from now, that's the cutoff. Leave your entries below. If you have any suggestions of what to give away, include it with your entry, because I'm open to suggestions. 305, totally bone stock, aside from a cherry bomb muffler, which I don't think really helps The smog has been deleted. Again, I don't know if any of that stuff actually either gives it any power or causes it to lose some. Stock 305, bolted up to a TH 350 trans. It's got 120,000 miles. Who knows how tired the motor actually is, but it doesn't really smoke, doesn't burn much oil except for when we're towing. I'm gonna go ahead and say it's gonna make somewhere around 500,000 horsepower to the wheels. Leave your guesses below. Price is Right rules. Check the comments before you leave your guess. Make sure somebody didn't already guess it, because if you leave the same guess as somebody else, then the person before you who guessed it first is going to take precedence over you. You might get a second place prize, but I guarantee you it's really not going to be much. That covers about the maintenance stuff that we have ahead of us. Nothing major, thankfully, because this car does only have 80,000 miles. In terms of underneath here, performance stuff we're going to do, maybe we'll put a quiet like Miltech muffler on it. The dog bone mount insert we're going to do. Shout out to Chase. He's got one for me that he's going to give me at junk food meet next week. So we'll get the dog bone mount insert done, because anybody who knows these cars knows Mark IVs. These have an inherent problem with ripping out the dog bone mount. You could actually strip out the transmission itself. And I actually had that happen on my first car. We were able to Healy coil it, but basically the short of it is wheel hop will rip your dog bone mount out. Between the dog bone mount insert and just some, you know, self-control with the gas pedal, avoiding any kind of wheel hop, we should have no issues with that. God forbid we do. There's a better solution nowadays, so not too worried about it. In terms of the underside, I want to give you guys a good look at just how nice this car is. This was really the selling point, and I was saying to Rachel as we were on the way over there to go look at it, I said within 5 minutes I'll know if this car is going to be worth buying or not, because you could just start to see whatever little rust spots start on the, you know, fender area and the quarter panels and stuff. These cars do rot away to some extent, and I took one look underneath, and within a few seconds I was like, yeah, we're buying this car. I even looked up at the seller. I said, hey, as long as the test drive checks out, like, I'm definitely going to be leaving with this car today. Fortunately, not much to do underneath here other than fluid film the whole underside, which we're going to do next week. It drives very nice and very tight. Tight like a Toyga.
Oh, yes, this is a keeper.
So now that we've given you guys a good proper look at what we have in store for this car and the current condition and state of it, I'll give you guys a quick update on the LS swap. We just got our first big order of parts from Rock Auto. Dropped like $600 on all sorts of stuff. Lots of little odds and ends. We'll go over that next week when we go to Matt's house again and start putting these parts on. But stuff like the oil pump, timing chain, all that good stuff. In theory, when this motor goes in, we should have no oil leaks. But of course, now that I just said that, we're definitely going to have some. But all new seals, any sort of seal that should be changed while the motor is out is getting done. Get it buttoned up, mostly ready to go. There's still a couple other things I got to buy. You know, we need hoses. I need to confirm that we can use the fan that's on that motor in pair with the radiator and shroud that's on the van currently. If not, we'll have to do that. We still got to buy a fuel tank. There's a whole list of stuff we still have to buy. We're going to make quick work of this swap. We're going to do it as quickly as we can without cutting any corners. Obviously, the whole reason why we're here doing this is because of sloppy mechanics, and there's no shortage of sloppy shit I do on my own channel. But this whole point of doing this swap to the van is to make it reliable and clean and more functional. It's going to be a whole new van by the time we're done with it. The realistic goal and what it looks like is going to happen is by springtime, we'll be back at the same dyno, getting it tuned as it's finished up and getting the final tune done on it. We'll be able to get some sloppy pre-made tunes off the tune cabinet. Fortunately, we're only about an hour and a half away from Sloppy Mechanics headquarters, or at least the dyno, and we're gonna get it tuned by the best. Excuse me, ma'am, are you licensed to operate this hovercraft?
Bye.